What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic. Today we're going to talk some football, Houston Texans football. But today we're going to talk about some playoff seedings. Playoffs? Playoffs? Yes, we're going to talk about playoffs. We're going to talk about playoff seedings right now. The reason why, because your Houston Texans have aligned themselves to do something very, very special this year. Something that this team or organization has never been able to do. We've been close a couple times. 2011, 2012, but things happen like injuries or just falling completely off the rails. Things of that nature, you weren't able to do things that you aligned yourself to do. Now this year, we're back in that position. We're able to align ourselves to do some real special things. Now we got to see if we can bring it home. And what I'm talking about is being a top 2 seed. Getting a bye week, getting a top 2 seed, guaranteeing as many playoff games as you can at home, and have to go on the road as minimum as you have to, if not at all. We're going to talk about that. As of right now, the AFC standings go like this. The Chiefs, number 1. Patriots, number 2. Texans, number 3. Pittsburgh, number 4. Number 5 is the Chargers, and number 6 are the Ravens. I think that the playoffs start today. The Ravens will be coming to Houston, and the Chargers will be going to Pittsburgh, as it stands right now. Now, a lot of those things can change because the teams are in the mix. The Chiefs, the Texans, the Patriots, and the Steelers all have games coming up that can change this and change the way it goes. We're going to start first with the Steelers. Even though the Steelers are, as of right now, the 4th seed, they're a seed below you. And that's mostly because y'all have the same, y'all both have 3 losses, but they have the tie, so it takes away one of their wins. But if y'all so happen to have the same amount of wins, like say for instance, if both teams win 11 games, they will be 11-4-1, and the Texans will be 11-5. So they will have the tiebreaker because they have less losses. The tie will help them. Just like if y'all have the same amount of losses like we do right now, they will have one less win because the tie hurts them in that scenario. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, next couple games go like this. They host a game against the Chargers on Sunday. They host a game against the Patriots, I think in 2 weeks. And then the game after that, they have to go to New Orleans, who is battling still with the Rams to get to control the NFC. And if you pay attention and watch the game Thursday night, Dallas versus the Saints, you see how crucial home field advantage is, because everybody knows that Saint team is a completely different team in the Superdome. And I don't think anybody's walking inside the Superdome and beating the Saints this year. So the best time to catch the Saints is when they're on the road. So that's how crucial and critical these home games, home playoff games can be. And to be honest, I think Pittsburgh is going to lose at least 2 of those 3 games. I don't see Pittsburgh winning all 3 of those games. I think they're going to lose at least 2 against either the Chargers, the Patriots, or the Steelers. Or against the Rams. I'm sorry, against the Saints. I messed that up completely. Against the Saints. So they'll lose 1 of those 3 games. So I think they will stay firmly behind you in the standings because they're going to lose at least 2 of those 3 games. Possibly all 3. Now, I would not be shocked at all if they lose all 3 games. I don't want them to lose all 3 games because I want them to beat the Patriots to help not the Patriots out, because the Patriot games go like this. The Patriots play Minnesota Sunday. They go to Miami, and then they go to Pittsburgh. I think that the Patriots also are going to lose 2 of those 3 games. Minnesota is a team battling for a playoff spot. Minnesota is an up and down, Jekyll and Hyde team, but they do have a solid defense. I do think that they have some weapons with Thielen and Stephon Diggs. And I think that they can come in and sneak in and beat the Patriots. Now, going on the road to Miami. The Patriots have a weird relationship. Tom Brady has a weird relationship with Miami. Anytime you go back and look at Patriot history, when Patriots get upset when they lost home field advantage and things of that nature, or get upset for the division, it's been against Miami. Like, at Miami. Anytime they go to Miami, I think it was one game on Monday night, like Tom Brady got like sacked like 7 times or something. Like it was a crazy number like that, and they just got completely beat up. Anytime that they struggle against Miami. Then also Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is fighting for the division. Pittsburgh is fighting for seeding. Because I think if Pittsburgh, like Stephen A. said, he's a Steelers fan, Pittsburgh needs to get home field advantage if they want to get to the AFC Championship game. So Pittsburgh is fighting for seeding as well. So I don't think that they'll be able to win all three of those games. I think that they'll lose a combination too, honestly. And to me, I don't know if you feel like this, but this feels like one of those 11-5 Patriot years. I was thinking about this the other day. Like, the Patriots have been to back-to-back Super Bowls. The way the season has gone, being demolished and crushed the way they have by the Titans, the slow pace. I mean, they beat the Jets last week, but it wasn't a typical Patriot win at the beginning. Like it was very slow pace and sluggish, and they started off sluggish and slow against Buffalo on Monday night a couple of weeks ago. To me, this seems like one of those years that the Patriots go 11-5, win the division, but lose like the first playoff game they play, or get the divisional round and losing the divisional round. Like, I don't see this Patriot team being the AFC Championship game. The way the season looks, it just looks like one of those off years for the Patriots. If you look, the Patriots have those type of off years when they dominate, and then they have a year when they just like a clunker, a stinker. To their standards, to most other people, to other team standards, they happy to get to the divisional round. The Texans have never been to the Texans have never got past the divisional round. Some teams have never been to a divisional round, or haven't been so long. The divisional round, the AFC Championship game is the Patriots' expectations. So to get to the divisional round and lose, or lose in the wild card, it's a completely disappointing season. And that's what it feels like. This is one of those Patriot disappointing 11-5 clunker type seasons. Because the Patriots going 11-5 is equivalent to most other teams in the NFL going 6-10. To be honest with you, that's the Patriots' equivalent of 6-10 is 11-5 losing in the first round of the playoffs. It's equivalent to most teams getting 10-6 and drafting the top 15. To be honest with you, that's what type of level the Patriots have been on over the past 20 years with Belichick and Tom Brady. I know they haven't. This hasn't been 20 years exactly, but you get what I'm trying to say. But I do think that it's going to be one of those type of teams, and if that's the case, the Texans have aligned themselves and put themselves in prime position if they handle their business to become a top 2 seed in the AFC. And it's if you think about this, if you think about that, I know people talk about the Patriots and we have a bad taste in our mouth for the Patriots. We always lose to the Patriots. All this monkey on the back, everything like this. If you think about Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning struggled against Tom Brady year in and year out until the year he won the Super Bowl. The year he won the Super Bowl, what happened? The AFC Championship game was in Indianapolis, not in Foxborough. Years prior, AFC Championship game, AFC Divisional game, AFC Walker game, whatever the case may be, it was in Foxborough. He got him at home. He got over the hump. Won the game, went to Super Bowl. And if my memory serves me correctly, I don't think that Peyton Manning lost to Tom Brady again. He might have lost maybe 1 or 2 times, but I know for a fact that he had a winning record against Tom Brady. From the moment of 06 when he beat him in the AFC Championship game, from that moment on, he's had at least a winning record, if not undefeated against Tom Brady. And this is including the Denver years and everything. He got over the hump, but he had to get the game at home first. That's the way to get over the hump. That's the way for Bill O'Brien to get over the Bill Belichick and the Patriots and Tom Brady and all that. Get them to NRG Stadium in a crucial playoff game in the season when you catch them slipping. Take advantage of that. Win the game. Get to the AFC Championship game. Those are the type of things that you can do. That's the type of stuff you can align yourself if you handle your own business. I'm not really talking about the wild card too much because, as I stated in years prior, in videos prior to this one, maybe 3-4 videos ago, if the Texans find a way to mess this up, lose the division, or in worst case scenario, lose the playoffs and get knocked out the playoffs, you have to really consider firing Bill O'Brien. I'm not just talking about fan speak because we mad because he didn't go for him on 4th down, or he did go for him on 4th down, or he called the timeout the wrong time, or did a wrong challenge, he running run pass instead of running pass run. Like, I'm not talking about immediate after game fire Bill O'Brien, blah 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 blah. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about really considering sitting down, like firmly, and actually consider firing him. Because if you mess this up, if you go from 8-3, because if you miss the playoffs because you have tiebreakers against everybody else, and everybody else has this battle for the wild card, you beat them. You beat the Miamis. You beat Denver. Yeah, I think you have a tiebreaker against the Patriots. I mean, against the Titans. Like, if you start losing some of these games, you got tiebreaker against the Bills. I don't know, the Bills not in the mix. But if you start losing some of these games, that means and miss out on the playoffs. That means you probably have to be 9-7. So to go from 8-3 to 9-7 is a real sit down, fireable offense with no explanation. That's really because that means if you fouled up that means you went unprepared, you were outcoached, you were outmatched, you was outclassed. If you go from 8-3 to 9-7, if that happens, and that means your high water mark has always been 9-7 as a head coach, and you had a team at one point and the season was 8-3, and you still managed to only make that a 9-7 season. I give you a pass on the Brock Osweiler year because the last game of the season everything was locked up. You couldn't move one way or the other, up or down. So you rested your stars in the first half, rested your stars in the second half, and you end up losing the game to the Titans and make that 9-7 when you still went 10-6. I give you that one, but this one ain't that type of situation, ain't that type of party. That's a fireable offense. Now it's really time to start looking in the real direction, because now that means you're messing up your potential franchise quarterback. Well, not potential, your franchise. You're potentially messing up. That's the what I meant. You're potentially messing up your franchise quarterback if you do things like that. I don't even talk about that because I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Texans will handle their business and win the division, but that's the conversation that you would have to lead to if you end up messing that up. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about getting the seeding, because it is even a small outside chance of them even getting the #1 seed. The reason why I say small and outside chance is because the Chiefs have a game lead, and if you and the Chiefs have the same record, you don't hold the tiebreaker against the Chiefs because we didn't play the Chiefs. You don't hold a tiebreaker with them because I think their strength of victory is better than yours. So you would either need one or two things to happen. You would need to have a better record to the Chiefs, which means, as of right now, you need the Chiefs to lose 2 games. They do have to play the Chargers. You need the Chiefs to lose 2 games. Or you need the Chargers to win the division. Because if the Chargers win the division, and say you and the Chargers have the same record, your strength of victory is higher than the Chargers. Because we beat teams like Denver starting to win now since we beat them. Washington had a solid record before we beat them. Dallas is winning now, and you beat Dallas. The Titans have an okay record. The Colts are on a winning streak now, especially if you beat the Colts again. Like, yeah, your strength of wins. For people who say the Texans haven't played anybody, the Texans have the 4th highest win total against winning teams. The strength of wins are 4th in the NFL, mostly because teams started rolling after we played them. Miami was in the playoff mix, but I think at the time that we beat Miami, they had they were 5-3 or something like that. So you had your strength of wins is a solid strength of wins. So your strength of wins is higher than the Chargers' strength of wins, possibly because the Chargers have played against Oakland twice with only 1 victory. So, or 2 victories. How many victories? Oh, God, it's 1 or 2, something like that. I don't know. But your win total is stronger than theirs. So even if y'all have the same record, you own a tiebreaker and you become the #1 seed. Now I think that's kind of far fetched. One, I don't think the Chargers are going to win the division, but I do think that the Chiefs are going to struggle now since they don't have Kareem Hunt. And in my personal opinion, I don't think that the Chiefs are going to win a playoff game now. I think the Chiefs are going to be a one-and-done playoff game, a one-and-done playoff team. I think they're going to lose the first playoff game because it gets cold in Kansas City. Like, even though Kansas City, it gets cold in Kansas City, it gets cold in Foxborough, it gets cold in Pittsburgh. It gets cold those times. And you don't have the same ball control that you would have with Kareem Hunt. I like Spencer Ware, but Kareem Hunt is a special running back as well. Yeah, I put him on. I'm not saying he's girly or anything like that, but he is a top-level running back. He is a level running back I would love to have on this team. But we already know they ain't gonna rock. We already know how the Texans operate. Even with Cal running the team, we already know how this is gonna rock. Ain't no way it's gonna bring no Kareem Hunt. So you can, any fans that want to throw that name out there, y'all gonna forget that. Y'all already know what's gonna happen. That's all automatic. No, as soon as I seen cut, I'm like, would be nice, but I already know I'm not even gonna put no thought and energy in that because I already know what the answer gonna be. But I do think without that, you're gonna be putting too much on Pat. I'm a huge Pat fan, y'all know this, but y'all be putting you put too much on Pat, and slinging that ball in Lubbock, Texas, year in and year out is different. And even in early September and October, in mid-November in Kansas City than it is in December and January in Kansas City. And if I want to be honest, the games when Pat had to go to Kansas and to Iowa State and Kansas State when he was at Tech, the games up there, late in the season, well, actually his worst performance. I think his worst performance is against Iowa State, at Iowa State. And it's cold. I think what he had a game that he only had 3 points at Tech. If I'm not, it was 3. I know it was under 20. I know for a fact it was under 20 his last year. And they got dogged in that game. So the signs are there of him not being the exact same passer in a cold weather game, in a cold environment game, than he is in warm weather. This is coming from a Patrick Mahomes Texas Tech fan. So, in saying that, I do think he's going to have struggles come postseason, come playoff time, especially now that the onus is going to be on him. The burden is going to be completely on number 15's back. So, I do think that they'll be, I think they're going to win their division and win home field advantage, but I do think they're going to be one and done. Depending on who they play against, who knows, they might catch a team at the right time and be able to get that one win, but they're not making no Super Bowl. That's guaranteed. They're not winning no Super Bowl because I don't believe they're going to win their first playoff game because of that. I could be completely wrong, but that's just how I feel. Like I said, I feel that the Patriots are going to be. I feel that the Patriots have that 11-5 feel this type of season. Like I said, I think they got some tough games going. I think Minnesota's at home, but 2 Miami and 2 Pittsburgh. They're going to lose one of those 3. They're going to lose 2 of those 3 games. I wouldn't be surprised they lost all 3. Pittsburgh, they're going to lose 2 of those 3 games. They got home. It's home against the Chargers, home against the Patriots, and they go to New Orleans. They're going to lose 2 of those 3 games. Wouldn't be surprised if they lost all 3. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. And the Texans, they have to keep everything in front of them. They got to take it one game. Like Deshaun said, you got to take it one game at a time, one practice at a time, one meeting at a time, one play at a time. You can't try to win everything on one play. You can't get ahead of yourself. You can't let games be trap games to you. You got to keep your mind in your business. We could talk about seeding. Fans, we could talk about this. Soft Sports, we could talk about this. They got to keep it on their mind one game at a time because we don't want them to get ahead of themselves. Because I think that's one of the reasons what happened in 2012. I think 11-1, and we smoling, we cooking. They got punched in the mouth against the Patriots. Bounced back against the Colts. Hey, we beat Minnesota. We home field advantage. You lay a stink on them. You had to go to Indianapolis when Chuck Pagano coming back from cancer. That stadium was loud and rocking. It was an uphill battle. There wasn't no way you're gonna win that. And you went from 11-1 being the number 1 seed to wild card being the 3rd seed in the playoffs wild card Sunday and barely beating the Bengals and had to go to New England when that game should have been in Houston against the Ravens. And I think they would have beat the Ravens in that game, to be honest. Even though the Ravens went on to go win the Super Bowl, I think the Ravens would, because the Ravens came to Houston earlier that year and lost 35-10. Flacco had 2 pick sixes in that game. Come on, man. Come on. But we're not talking about the past. We're going to talk about the 2018 Texans. And I do believe that the Texans handle their business. I'm not guaranteeing they're going to win the top 2 seed. I'm just laying the road out there for you, how they can get to the top 2 seed. And I believe if they handle their business, I do believe this. It's really all on the Texans. If they handle their business, they should be top 2 seed. They should be number 2 seed, get a bye week, if not number 1. Because I think for the most part, everything else is going to handle itself. I really do. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Comment below if you haven't. Click that bell. Get my videos. I holla.